What are students testing in Anne Arundel County? Next on Food for Thought. Hi, I'm Jodi, the host for Food for Thought, and thanks for watching. Today I'm honored to have three guests with me, Miss Katara West, who's in the Office of Equity, and two of our very own students from Anne Arundel County Public Schools. Welcome to Food for Thought.
Thank you.
So Miss West, can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself? So everybody watching today, they're like, who are the three guests with Jodi on Food for Thought?
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Katara West. I'm a senior specialist in the Office of Equity. I'm originally from New Jersey, and fun fact, so my family came here when I was about 10 years old, and so I'm part of the Old Mill Network.
Wow.
Went to Old Mill North, graduated from Old Mill High School, go Patriots, ended up staying in Maryland for my undergraduate degree at UMBC, and then I moved south. So I spent about 9 years in Florida. I attended the University of Florida. And then in 2006, I had to become a caretaker for my mother and came back to Maryland and started working as a teacher. I was a math teacher at Arundel High School for about 14 years, math teacher, intervention specialist, anything you can think of that really provided opportunities and access for students. That was my lane. I had a small stint in Baltimore County Public Schools, and then in 2019 ended up back here in Anne Arundel County as a specialist in the Office of Equity. And so I've been here. My primary role in the office really is to develop and deliver professional learning, support schools in their equity journey and equitable practices. But even though I work primarily with adults, my love, my passion really is for the students. And so I'm really happy to be the co-sponsor of a program that I developed actually during COVID in concept. And that program is the Student Equity Advisory Team, or our SEAT ambassadors. And so we had a full launch in 2022. And so we're thriving. That's really the best part of my job. I'm also a proud wife and a mother of two. I've got a 6th grader and an 8th grader, both of whom are very artsy, which is so different from me. But I just love watching them develop and really live out their passions.
Wow, and I know the students with us today obviously know who you are, but it's so funny. So did you hear all those things she was saying, right? Miss West said, oh, she taught. When we did Taste of Excellence that everybody's going to hear about, this whole teacher came out, and I was like, she's got some teacher in there, because you just nailed it. You could see the love and the passion that you had for students and for teaching. So for that, thank you. And thank you for that great explanation of who you are, and especially your travels. Let's turn it over to the students a little bit. Raygan, you want to go first? Tell the viewers, somebody watching today is going to be like, who are our students?
Hi, my name is Raygan Gillins, and I go to Severn River Middle School. As of right now, I'm a 6th grader, and I am the 6th grade representative of my school.
Mm-hmm. So you're ready for this? The SEAT ambassador at your school?
Yes.
Very good. And that's a new role, 6th grade. And how is the adjustment to middle school? Hard from elementary to middle school, or just a piece of cake?
I really like the environment because I get to meet people who have been to other schools instead of just my school. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a really good opportunity to meet new people.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, and welcome to Food for Thought, and thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you.
Kaleb, can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself? What brings you to us today for Food for Thought?
I'm Kaleb. I am a junior, and I am North County SEAT representative. I've lived here my entire life. I went to Brooklyn Park for the visual arts program.
Okay.
And yeah, I've always been really focused on trying to, give everyone equity and trying to help as much as I can. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And, I'm going to put one tough question out there, and I'm going to look at Miss West. So do all the counties, and maybe even our students, maybe Kaleb and Raygan, do all counties have SEAT ambassadors or SEAT seat? Yes.
So great question. So the answer to that is I don't know. I do know that many counties have student leadership organizations. I mean, even in AACPS, we have a variety of student leadership groups.
Correct.
I don't know of many student leadership groups that have a specific focus with the lens of equity. So this could be unique. I'll find out soon. I'm actually presenting this week at the University of Maryland about the SEAT program. So.
Very good. Hopefully you'll even touch the touch of Taste of Excellence.
I am, trust me.
Yeah.
One of the activities we're going to highlight.
Very good. And it's kind of interesting. I say all the time, coming from food service, I work with districts across the state of Maryland and the country all the time. And Anne Arundel County, when we go throughout the, multiple states, people always say, how do you do all that in Anne Arundel County? And I can't believe you have that program. And I really think the program that you're both in with Miss West in the Office of Equity is one of those programs. I'm sure it leads the charge across the country, and probably maybe one of the only few that are set up that way. So let's dive into, it's called the Taste of Excellence, right? And it's a funny story how it started. So we're going to talk about what you all experienced, but more importantly, Miss West, you gave me a call. Well, you gave me an email.
Yes.
You sent me an email, and the email said, we have students that are interested in snacks.
Yes.
And I said, I've been here a long time. I'm the director of food service. I love nutrition. Let me see what she has to say. So share a little bit of how we even were connected, because we weren't really connected. We were connected as offices, but you and I personally didn't have that connection until that one email and the one phone call that we had.
The Wellness Council. We have the Wellness Council. That's how we bond. But yes, so part of the SEAT initiative this year was for our students to come up with a data-driven proposal to make sure that all students in their schools felt like they belonged, grew, and could succeed. And so one of our SEAT ambassadors decided that they were really going to take that succeed portion to heart. And so they collected some school data, looked at some anecdotal data, and really discovered that a particular grade level, they were crashing before their lunch period. Like the heads were down, students weren't engaged. And so their proposal to get funding was for a snack pantry, a snack shack, to really boost the energy of students before their lunch. And so I kind of knew the answer to it, but I definitely wanted to reach out to you because I know that there are constraints and parameters that we have to follow as it relates to snacks. And so having that conversation with you just really kind of transformed into, hey, we've already, surveyed our SEAT ambassadors. I can tell you what they're thinking about school lunches. And then your response is, well, hey, we've got a lot of great new items on the menu. Why not? Let's get the students involved and tasting them. And so that's kind of how the discussion started, and then started talking about the education component, right? Because we really wanted students to understand why we can and can't do certain things. What are the standards, nutritional parameters that we have to follow and adhere to? And also have the students be ambassadors for these new items, right? So yes, they'll be tasting them, but we also want them to be champions in their schools to say, hey, you too can enjoy school lunch, because we know the value, not just the nutritional value, but the academic value of being well nourished.
Yeah, and I think we do student testing all the time. Did either one of you ever have student testing just independently, maybe at North County or Brooklyn Park? Do you remember any? Or where was the elementary school for you, Raygan?
I went to Belvedere Elementary School.
Okay. So in the past, many, many moons ago, we did a big tasting event, just like we did this tasting event, but not sophisticated like this year's, and not with all the components. But we would just say, here's a new item, let's try it, let's taste it. And we would get students to give us thumbs up, kind of a middle of the road, we don't think we like that one, and really a thumbs down. So this was our effort to really bring all of our students, or students from all feeder system, right, representing the whole county together, and say, we're going to try some of these new food items. Tell us what you think. Some might not be that good. Some were fantastic. Maybe somebody doesn't like the color of one, but it would be your voice kind of coming back to us to say, let's look at this, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about when we're driving in the bus, right? So, and remember, we're waiting for the buses, right? We had this whole elaborate plan to do this giant taste of excellence. It was going to be a tasting party, and buses were going to arrive, I think within probably, Raygan, 30 or 40 minutes after you arrived to school, right? You probably arrived to school and had to go right away. Kaleb, I think you had a little time. You were probably at school first.
Yeah, we went to school, and then we all kind of stood in the front section and hung out while we waited for the bus.
So what was that like? Was everybody, whoever wants to go first, like, was everybody talking, waiting to get on the bus? Like, it's a field trip, but it's a really cool field trip, I think. What was it like? Talking? Not talking? Was everybody excited? Like, what did you expect?
I know a lot of people in my group, there was a little bit of skepticism because a lot of us have had some negative impacts with school lunches. But we were all really excited, just in general, to have the opportunity to, like, give our opinion and have it, have a clear impact. It was really good. There was a lot of excitement, though.
Good. And how about, Raygan, for you? Excitement? Unknown? Was everybody, are you nervous, not nervous, trying to get to the event?
I was really excited, but, like, I was also slightly nervous because I've never been to a field trip like this, like, experiencing and tasting new foods for my fellow students, but ultimately I was really excited.
Very good. Let's talk about what it looked like when you got there. So, Miss West, right, we were all abuzz. It was a lot of moving parts. Yes. There was a lot of logistics to get this off. And then, of course, we had one day that we couldn't even have it, right? So we had a date that we couldn't conduct the taste testing. So what did you think, working with Food and Nutrition Services and us working with the Office of Equity, when you got in there the first, that morning, what did you think when you looked at the whole setup?
It was like an aha moment, right? When you think about school lunch, you don't traditionally think about black tie, right? And appearance makes a difference, right? Let's think about, servings that you get on a plate. Sometimes we eat with our eyes. And so
100%.
Looking at that environment, the black tablecloths, the signage, right? Just everyone, all of us wearing our black and our pearls, it really did make a difference.
How about for you all? Like, once you showed up, everybody was, and I loved it because I was outside when some of the students were coming off the buses. And it was electric. It was so exciting. And we had the video crew, right? And everything was black tie, as Miss West said. And we were all dressed in our black tie attire. What was it like when you walked in? Did it look like, and I guess, Kaleb, you're in a high school cafeteria, but yes. Did it resemble your cafeteria, or did it just feel like, wow, this is different? Like, I'm in for something exciting today.
It was definitely very like, whoa, okay, like, this is an actual thing. We walked around, we were, a lot of my peers were looking at the food and were like, wow, like, I would eat this, like, I would go up to this and like, like.
Good. And then when you sat down and, we had the little, like, the excitement, and I think I could even feel it, like, when we were waiting for all the students to arrive, it was just the excitement of everybody sitting down saying, exactly, Kaleb, like you said, like, I want to go up and try that one. Like, I want to go see what that tastes like. What was it, Raygan, for you? Same thing? Like, when you walked in there, did you say, like, wow, like, what's this going to be?
It was definitely very unexpected from what I thought it was going to be. Like, it was very formal, and it was very nice and, like, fancy. And, like, I really liked how all the vendors were, like, positioned in a way you could, like, see each one, see what they're serving. And I really liked the menu design because it, like, made it feel like this is not school lunch. It made it feel like you're actually going to, like, a black tie restaurant.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was so intentional, right? Everything that we talked about, so with both offices and how we wanted to make this special for students is exactly what you just mentioned. So, hey,
that's right.
A+.
That's right.
That's fantastic because that's what we wanted. We wanted you to feel special when you came in. And as the director here for so many years, we know students eat with their eyes, right? So, Kaleb, you said, some students were skeptical. I love to put out all our fruits and vegetables and have those lines so colorful. And we talked about it a little bit of filling half of your tray with fruits and vegetables, right? Do all those right things. And as student leaders, when you're doing it, everybody else is looking back saying, well, Kaleb and Raygan did it. I'm going to go and do some of that too, right? I want to fill my plate with fruits and vegetables. So we eat with our eyes, our smells, right? I think, Kaleb, you said it, right? When you came in, did it have a certain, I don't know, a yummy smell, a delicious smell, right, of all the items that we had? Good. Now, how about, how did you like, and this was what Miss West and I worked on, is just even everybody had there was a different color at each station, right? And I'll be honest, I was skeptical of that because I said we're going to have, did we have 100 and, I don't know, 130 once we add all of our adults in? How do we let everybody go to a station and have it be, not chaos? In my mind, that was where the chaos was going to take place. Like everybody was so good. Everybody was sitting down. We were ready to go to those stations and taste them and look at them and have what is the texture like in our mouths, right? To look at the whole package. I thought it would be like, and everybody would have been crazy. It was like magical. You all went. Maybe one of you share. And I know Katara, Miss West, we're going to ask you too to share as we walked around. As you went up to the first station, what did you feel? So you get to your first station, there was a vendor there, right? A manufacturer or a broker, and many of them represent multiple states or the whole country, right? We kind of had all the big wigs here to make it special for all of our students. How was it when you went to the first station?
I was really excited. First of all, because it was my first actual station. But I think really when I tasted the food for the first time, I was like, wow, I think this could be a really nice school lunch. And even if it wasn't, I feel like I can ask them okay, how did you make this? What is the nutritional standpoint? How is this going to fuel other students to be ready for the learning day? And I thought I really liked how they did that, where we can ask the vendors how this can help other people, especially students.
We liked that as well. We wanted that to be interactive, right? Not for you all. I mean, we wanted students to talk to students for sure. But we didn't need you to talk to me or to talk to Miss West. It was more important to talk to that manufacturer. Kaleb, same thing for you. When you got to the first station, you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. I can talk to this manufacturer that is responsible for making this product. I mean, they're not physically making it, but they're the representative for the manufacturer.
My first station did happen to be the lactose-free milk.
Okay.
But
well, how was it though?
But no, it was good. And it was especially interesting because I drank the milk. I was like, okay, it's milk. But then she was like, oh, and this is how it's made. She talked about the enzyme and why some people need lactose-free, and that was really interesting. And then the second one, when we went up to him, he was like, how is it? Is it texture good? He was asking for our opinion.
Very good.
So he could draw out the information because kids are nervous. They don't. Sometimes they don't want to talk to the adults. So.
And I think your second station then was the beef and sweet plantain empanada. Yes. Good. Okay. And then Miss West, what did you see as they were? Again, I think it was interesting from afar watching all the student engagement with these manufacturers.
So for me, the memorable part was the intentionality of the students. And so I was walking around, I saw some students tasting the beef barbacoa. Is that with the chips?
Yes.
Yes,
so that was a favorite.
So good.
And it really was a favorite when we looked at it. It was one of the tops.
So the beef barbacoa had the chips, you had the chips in the bag and then the chips in the cup. And I saw some students eating just the beef, and in my head I had to be scooping that up with the chips. And so I said, oh, any rationale for not eating the chips? You didn't like the chips? They said, no, I want to be able to taste it with the chips and without the chips. So again, just the intentionality that students were really going through this activity with. I want to see what the texture is, I want to see what the flavor is alone, and then combine it with the chips. So for me, I was like, oh, they are taking this really seriously.
Yeah, and think about it, that's better than the Food Network elevation, right? If you're really looking at the beef barbacoa by itself, right? You really want to get the flavors and the profiles and the textures of just that beef barbacoa. So that's way elevated. I loved having the multiple grade levels, right? I love having a 6th grade, having an 11th grade. We had some of our youngest learners there, right? So do you remember there was a little
first grader.
A little first grader with me, right? And she had a really tough question, she said, for me. So she loved going through. She loved the lactose-free, our lactose-free milk, which was interesting, right? And she loved the pupusas. She told me that they were worth 1,000,000 points and that if I could get them on the menu, they were going to be 1,000,000 points. But I love that she was able to be part of that conversation in the auditorium with all of you, right? Like, what better way for her to look to you as upperclassmen and mentors to her, right? Like, you're setting the example for her. So she's excited. She still wants me to go to her school when we have some of these items on the menu. So I made my promise to her. I said, when it's on the menu, I'm going to come and have lunch with you and we can see how it works. So when you look back at the day, any other memorable, or I know, and Kaleb, you kind of gave a shout out already for beef barbacoa. Was that, so that was your top? Or no, did you maybe have another top?
I think that was my top. I don't know. All of them, a lot of them were like really even. I think I drew some extra stars for a
You
few.
did?
So.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And how about for you, Raygan?
I really, really like the penny rosa with meatballs and the enchilada empanada. And one of the reasons why I really liked the enchilada empanada was like I liked tasting other cultures instead of just one in particular. I thought it was really important for students to like have a taste of excellence and experience what maybe other people around the world have.
Exactly. And that was also intentional, right? So right now the menu only has one hot entree. You can get an entree salad every day, even salmon salads on Friday, which I love when I talk about it. Everybody's like, you really have salmon? I'm like, we have salmon every Friday.
I'm going on Friday.
And then we do a grab and go, right? At the high school and at the middle school, we have that grab and go. And a lot of students love just that really quick. They want a cheese stick. They want yogurt. They want we do a breakfast bread, usually like the zucchini bread. I think the banana bread, it sounds like, is the
favorite.
That's the favorite, hands down, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny. And I can tell from participation, remember I talked about it too in the session in the auditorium, our participation stays up, and you know when it's really the best, it bumps up even higher. So taco always bumps up higher, pizza always bumps up higher. And then we know banana bread is one of our favorites too of our students. But when you're kind of looking at all that and looking at that global infused items, right? So we have some traditional, just American dishes, right? But we don't do hot dogs in Anne Arundel County. And we don't do chicken nuggets in Anne Arundel County. We don't do cheeseburgers and hamburgers. And everybody's like, why? And I'm like, because students can have those anywhere, right? I'm sure when you're out and about, you could get those anywhere. Sometimes even at home, we're eating those things. So we really wanted to make it be unique and have it resemble what our student body looks like, right? So I think having a tikka masala and some of our empanadas and our pupusa, right? The beef barbacoa, very different. We also have Korean barbecue meatballs now, right? We have our teriyaki chicken. We have our sweet and sour popcorn chicken with our vegetable fried rice. So we have some of it, but next year it's really going to be infused throughout the menu. So we're really excited to have some of those come through. You know, Miss West just found out the other day, but we unfortunately can't add anything this year because we're too close to the end of the school year. But we're going to kick it off next year. And luckily, both of you will be able to experience them when we come back.
And that you will become, again, those ambassadors when that food launches. The hope is that they will encourage their peers to try the new food.
Yeah. So let's leave the taste testing because it was awesome. It was black tie. It looked the part. It tasted the part. Everything really did score really well. I mean, even lactose milk. And we serve that right now. We just wanted students to taste it so they know what it tastes like. We all transitioned and we went into the auditorium. So we talked about careers, and that's how we kicked it off. Anything you want to highlight about that discussion? So we had different professionals come up and talk about what was their career path. Mine was a registered dietitian, right? And my daughter also wants to follow that same career path. That makes my day. I can't wait to have another little Rissi that's going to be a registered dietitian, and the bigger Rissi is going to be a speech therapist, right? But I'm like, ooh, let's do the one that looks at the swallowing, right, and all the texture modifications for food. But what did you find interesting or unique on that? Kaleb?
I found the fact, I didn't know this, that some brokers and the companies will make specialized products for schools, so like they have less additives and stuff.
Correct.
I found that really interesting. I know I personally, like when I'm at school, I get a bag of chips. I don't look at the food label because I'm like, oh, it's just the same, but it's not. And I think that's really neat that they do that.
Mm-hmm. And one of our vendors that was there, right? We buy 2 of the products, and one of them is the rounds, and the other one is a big scoop. And I bet you Miss Pagnata even shared that with you in your section, because there's only 3 ingredients, right? Mm-hmm. It's salt, it's oil, and it's corn.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better than that. That's a clean label, and it tastes great, right? It's a whole grain. It tastes great. And to Miss West, it's a vessel that you could pick up for Kaleb, the beef barbacoa. So sometimes you don't even need a fork. You could use the scoop, right? Or you could use the Tostito. Good, very good. How about, Raygan, anything that you found interesting when we talked about what's the career path? And to look at school meals, it's so much bigger than just school meals and somebody that's just serving you food that, just to get you in and out of the cafeteria.
I agree with Kaleb. I really, really liked how the brokers modified the food. So maybe it has less fat or less sugar or less salt than what you would ordinarily get at the store. Because at school we want to fuel for the day and learn.
Mm-hmm. And we hope you get excited about it. So we have a motto. It's cultivating communities of wellness. So I hope, Raygan, you try... I'll pick on beef barbacoa. That's a good one. Or tikka masala. You try it, and it's so good, you say, I'm going to go home and tell my mom about it, right? I want to make sure that we could try to figure out, how do we buy this at home, or how do we replicate that? And this is years ago. We had a principal who had 2 students in our school system. They didn't eat a lot of fresh vegetables. And we do the salad bars with the multiple fresh vegetables. And before COVID, we would have 15. Now we have about 5 to 6 of them a day. And she said it was the first time her daughter ever had cauliflower, and came home and said loved it and wanted it. So to me, if we could really influence and really change your palate and what you like, you can go home and say something to your mom or dad, right? Or a guardian or an uncle or a grandparent or a neighbor. Before you know it, we're making the whole community a healthier place, right? Which is really, really, I think it's awesome. How about Miss West? What were your thoughts with seeing the brokers and the manufacturers and our 4 subgroups with great questions, by the way? I mean, the Office of Equity did a great job putting the questions together.
Thank you. So for me, the day really was kind of in 3 components. It was participate, so students actually tasting the food. It was the education, right? So participate, educate, where you all got a chance to learn about the different career paths, some of the nutritional standards, but then the collaboration piece. So that collaboration piece is so important, because we really we want to keep that participation rate going higher and higher and higher. And we know that, again, the academic value of nutrition is so important. So I think it was the School Nutrition Association says that students who participate in school meals, they have a 17.5% increase in their test scores over other students. And so we want you all to be able to market these items, to collaborate with the vendors who know the items, right? They know the ingredients. They know what are some of the highlights of those ingredients. And so we want you all to work with the vendors and with the brokers to be able to say, hey, how can we really get the word out to our peers? Like, is it Instagram posts? Is it a television show? How can we be the ambassadors to make sure that all students understand the nutritional value, but also the deliciousness of the school lunches? Because that's really, when you think about some of the reasons why students don't participate in school meals, is because they don't think it tastes good. Well, sometimes it's because they really haven't tasted it. They just heard it from somebody else. And so we want you all to be, those vehicles through which people can really understand how good AACPS school lunches are.
Thank you. That was a great recap. We could talk for about an hour. So we got to close the show. Thank you for being part of Taste of Excellence. Thank you, students. Your voice is well heard, and I can't wait to see what we do with the items that you shared. Thank you, Miss West.
Thank you.
As you can see, food service in Anne Arundel County and the Office of Equity really coordinate all of our efforts to have a great tasting event for all of our students. If you have questions about the school meals program, please call me at 410-222-5900. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.